In this section, we'll do some examples of how to calculate IV fluid administration. We're going to use the same idea as 11.2 and 11.3, which is paying attention to our units and using those fractions to help us cross out the units. So let's look at this example. The registered nurse is to infuse 1 unit of whole plasma, that's 500 milliliters, over 4 hours. So that's the first bit of information we have. We have 500 milliliters over 4 hours. So let's use that to write our first fraction. Using a blood administration rate of 10 drops per milliliter. So here's our next bit of information. We know that 10 drops is the same as 1 milliliter. So we're going to use that to write our next fraction. The milliliters here was on top, so we want this next milliliters to be on the bottom. And we have 10 drops on the top. And finally it says at how many drops per minute. So this minute is a clue because it means that we don't really want hours, we really want minutes. So we're going to write another fraction here. And remember that 1 hour is 60 minutes. So we're going to use that to write our next fraction. Here the hours was on the bottom, so we want the hour here to be on the top with the 60 minutes on the bottom. Now what that does here is the milliliters will cancel out this. Here the hours will cancel out with the hours because one's on top, one's on bottom. And that will leave me drops and minutes. So let's multiply straight across. 500 times 10 times 1 will give me 5,000 drops. In the bottom we'd have 4 times 1 times 60, which is 240 minutes. So if we divide 5,000 divided by 240, we get 20.8333, and it keeps going. So we'll call that 21 drops per minute. And we get the units by reading straight down, drops per minute. And all we've done with this number is rounded to the nearest whole number. So here's another example. We have 1,200 milliliters over 24 hours. So we'll start with that, 1,200 milliliters over 24 hours. Here it says 15 drops per milliliter. So we're going to put the milliliters on the bottom and the 15 drops on the top. Remember, this is really telling us 15 drops for 1 milliliter. And again here it talks about wanting drops per minute, and we have hours, so we have to remind ourselves that 1 hour is 60 minutes. And we're going to use that to write our last fraction here. Here the hours are on the bottom, so we want the 1 hour on the top and the 60 minutes on the bottom. So that'll make the milliliters cancel out here and the hours cancel out here. We're going to multiply straight across, so 1,200 times 15 is 18,000 drops. And 24 times 1 times 60 is 1,440 minutes. So we'll take that 18,000 divided by 1,440. And we get 12, let me write that down first. It gives us 12.5 drops per minute. Now you have to pay attention to what the directions tell you to do. If they want you to round, then we would call that 13. If they want you to leave it, then we would call it 12.5. So here's another one. this tells us we have 1,800 milliliters in 24 hours. So we'd start by writing that. Then it says it wants to know how many milliliters per hour. So if you notice, this says milliliters, well, we already have milliliters, and then this says hours, well, we already have hours. That means we don't need to change anything. We just need to divide. So we just need to do 1,800 divided by 24, and that would give us 75 milliliters per hour. And that's because when we say per hour, we really mean how many milliliters for 1 hour. And when we divide this, that's giving us a 1 on the bottom, because we're really doing divided by 24 and divided by 24. Let's look at one more example. This says the patient's to receive 1,000 milliliters at 140 milliliters per hour. So let's look at this. We'll start with this 1,000 milliliters. It doesn't give us any information that goes with it, so we'll just put that over 1. This is 140 milliliters for 1 hour, so we'll use that. But you see this milliliters here is on top, so we want to put this milliliters on the bottom and the 1 hour on the top. So now the milliliters will cancel out and will leave us hours. That's good because that's what the question's asking about, is hours. We'll multiply straight across, so we have 1,000 hours over 140. So we'll take 1,000 divided by 140. And that gives us 7.142857 hours. And again, you'd want to pay attention to what your directions tell you for rounding.